Hello and welcome everyone to this week's episode of the podcast. This week we have a wonderful special guest, an amazing jeweler called Luke Brient. Luke has his own handmade jewelry business, which he set up, I believe, around 3 years ago, but we'll hear more about his journey. And he makes very cool kind of unisex jewelry. He works a lot with wax and with casting, with sand casting, gorgeous big gemstones. So anyone who loves sort of big gemstone jewelry, silver, gold, all the things, definitely go and check out his page. And one of the things that was really interesting about his business to me is how he uses Instagram, how open and honest he is about his processes, and also how he deals with his customers on there and all sorts of things. So we're going to have a little chat about his journey into jewelry today and also learn a bit about how he runs his business and his making. So welcome, Luke. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's an absolute pleasure. I've seen your series a few times online and saw a message pop up for you about joining you. And yeah, I'm super happy to be on. Thank
Amazing.
you.
And you're joining from your workshop today, which is very
I am indeed. I'm in my little workshop in Norfolk, which is a kind of converted boiler room on the outside of my family home. So it's very small and cramped, but it does the job. So
yeah,
yeah,
lots of nice natural light I can see. It's a nice sunny day today, which is quite unusual in the UK. So
very unusual, very unusual. But yeah, I'm fingers crossed it stays that way.
yes, yes, for some summer, absolutely. Brilliant. So do you want to start by just sharing a bit about how you got into jewelry making? Is it something you've done since you were a child, or did you kind of stumble on it later on in life? How did it come into your world?
So I've kind of fallen into it a bit, really. I I was studying at Loughborough University industrial design, which is kind of like DT at school, lots of CAD work, workshop skills, lots of woodwork, metalwork, drawing practice, things like that. 3D printing. And then over lockdown, I had to come home because I was in my final year and finished my degree and everything here and was left with all my design skills and everything and my 3D printers and computers and stuff. I didn't really know what to do with them because no one was really employing designers because of the whole COVID issue. And all my friends were just sitting at home doing nothing. And the only job I could get locally was at a place called Monica Vinader. Because of the COVID restrictions, there wasn't people weren't employing, and the only kind of in person. So to get out of the house, basically, me and my brothers, we all started working at Monica Vinader, kind of in their packaging area. So it was over Black Friday weekend, so it was hectic. Fulfilling orders, picking and packing hundreds of pieces of jewelry, gift wrapping and posting off kind of thing. And through doing that, I just kind of got inspired by shiny things. Like I just couldn't believe the volume of stuff she was selling, and just how amazing it all was being there. And I was like, wow, I could make something like this. And I just got my mind thinking like, oh, I've got a 3D printer at home. I could design some jewelry. And I just started really. I just started designing a few pieces on my computer, 3D printing them out, see how they'd fit. And then I was kind of trying to think how I could best turn that into silver or gold. And I stumbled across sandcasting. So I started off by pre-printing blanks and like compressing them into sand molds and then pouring molten metal in. And started off first piece of kit buying this silver electric foundry, which was like on eBay for like 80 quid. And I was like, oh, God, that's expensive. And then didn't from then on snowballed drastically to spending a lot more money on a lot more kit over like 6 months. And then I quit the job there and realized, okay, I need to start making some money to pay for all this stuff I've bought now. So yeah, just kind of started going from there on Instagram, selling to friends and family, and then further afield.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, it's interesting to hear how you had the kind of training initially and then that gap. I think a lot of people had that gap in COVID of like, what do I do now? Like nothing
Yeah, exactly.
how I thought it would be. And then yeah, you went into the jewelry business and got inspired by, like you said, the volume and the shiny things. And
Yeah.
we can definitely relate to spending lots of money on tools and thinking that our initial outlay on tools is a lot, and then being like, okay, that's nothing compared to
And then
what.
you get the next thing, and it's like, okay, now I'm like really invested.
Yeah,
But I've
yeah.
also I've always wanted to be some kind of an artist. And I've always been kind of put off by I know a lot of artists from my parents' friends, and a lot of them are like continuously on hard times because people don't want to pay the value of their things. And I've always thought, oh, it would be cool to be an artist, but I don't really want to be broke forever. So then I found jewelry. I was like, hey, it's actually a form of art which, regardless of whether people like it or not, has a residual value to it. So you're using commodities, silver and gold gemstones. So it's actually a way of getting a good price point on something you make, and for people valuing it for that. So I felt quite comfortable going into that and thinking, okay, I'm going to be kind of an artist and use this, and yeah.
Amazing. And so tell us about your first customers. So you've decided, okay, I'm going to quit the job. I'm inspired. I'm going to start my own thing. Yeah. How did you begin? Did you start on Instagram? Did you start somewhere else? Was it sort of people that you knew? Tell us about your first couple of orders, because I imagine they can be quite nerve-wracking at the beginning of a journey like that.
Yeah, definitely. So I started just posting stuff on my personal Instagram page, saying, "Oh, look, I'm making jewelry now. Here's a bit of process behind the scenes." And I had a few friends that liking it and asking, "Oh, can you make this for me?" And then there's someone who was on my uni course. I think he obviously thought I was doing quite well and selling those things, so he trusted me because I was posting lots about it. And he's, "Oh, can you make me this ring?" And I was like, "Oh my God," I thought for like 3 days, how much am I going to charge for this? I don't know. Worked it all out on like silver costs and all that. And yeah, I made him this ring and he was super happy with it. And I was like, oh my God, no way. I just sold something. I just made something with my bare hands in like a day, and someone paid me like over £100 for it. I was like, oh my God, imagine if I was doing one of those every day. That'd be crazy. So yeah, and then I started a separate business page and started posting more on that. For the first kind of 6 months, it was all friends and family really who were buying. But then it kind of grows from that, from friends of friends, and then sometimes you get a bit of organic reach on Instagram, depending on how much they like you, or and you find randomers out there who might want to buy.
Mm.
So kind of just snowballed from that, really. But yeah, first customer was someone I'd never thought I'd ever sell anything to, just some randomer from my course who I didn't really know very well.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? And we talk a lot about sharing to the people that you already know, because we can often make assumptions like, oh, they don't want to buy jewelry. Like the people close to me don't want to buy jewelry. But we know so many people in our wider network. So like sharing on those initial sort of Facebook pages, Instagram pages that seem kind of like a stab in the dark is often, I think, how a lot of people start. So it's interesting to hear
Definitely, yeah.
the case for you. And in terms of your style, so you use lots of big gemstones, lots of color. How did you come across that style? Was it just the first thing you made, or did you experiment? Yeah, tell us a bit about that.
Well, I think lots of the aesthetic actually was came from the functionality of the process. Because due to sandcasting, you get all these lovely textures and divots and stuff. And it kind of came from that because, yeah, I design these things on the computer, they come out very smooth, whatever on the CAD. And then if you press them into sand, you get textures. So then I really liked some of the textures that were left. So I figured out ways of altering the molds once I've taken the plastic 3D print out to generate more textures. So I kind of went for that kind of organic, corroded erosion kind of aesthetic. Um, and it kind of snowballed from there to more kind of like rock punk themes, like chunky. And I'm still kind of developing my aesthetic, to be honest. I don't, I kind of have two kind of minds of whether I stay more rough and organic or more streamlined and clean. I do a bit of both really, depending
Yeah.
on the process I use. If I'm sandcasting, often there will be textures, but I found ways more recently with like, using like different vacuums and different pressures of compacting the sand, which you can make things smoother. But it just takes a lot more finishing. But I also do lost wax casting, so I can design more complex things in CAD
Hmm.
uh, and cast them like that to retain more of a theme to them.
Yeah, no, it's always interesting to watch a jeweler's style develop, I think, and see where they take it. And you've got, had a look on your website, you've got different collections, don't you? And you do bespoke work as well. What is the kind of breakdown for you of bespoke versus collection stuff? Or tell us a bit about your business today, I suppose, and how that works.
So to be honest, the collection's just kind of there in case. people don't really know what they want. My probably like 90% of my business is bespoke, to be honest.
Mm.
Um, that collection just fills the website and looks nice, and but the most people, yeah, they come to me because they've seen something on my page pop up and they really like the colors and the shape, whatever, but they want something unique made for them that they couldn't get on the high street. So I go through a process with them of talking about, we normally start with stones. We think, well, what kind of stone do you want? What colors? And we source stones together, back and forth for a few different ones, and then we do a design around a stone, or how that stone, yeah, we work out how that stone could be implemented into a design, gold or silver. That's just, yeah, more recently I've been doing it like that because I've been working with quite big chunky stones, and that's kind of this kind of road I'm going down.
Mm.
So yeah, mainly bespoke, really.
Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome. That's quite interesting. So your website's almost like the shop window to
yeah,
people to understand the kind of style that you do and your aesthetic, and then people, because I think a lot of jewelers want to do bespoke work, but perhaps don't have a collection. It can be quite tricky for a customer to know where to start.
yeah,
A designer, so they're like, well, yeah, they don't always know what they want. So it's quite nice to have to say, oh, well, I've seen this sort of star collection you have, but I want it in gold and I want it to be like a necklace instead of a ring, and it gives them a place to kind of start ordering
exactly,
from, I suppose. Yeah.
exactly. Because I find most people want something that's more unique to them with their own little twist on it, rather than something that I've just designed outright. They're coming to me because they're willing to take a risk on an artist instead of buying from a big shop, because they want something designed for them, kind of by them, to their taste. So that's why they normally go down the bespoke road. And as you say, yeah, the website's kind of there to inspire people. What other kind of potential aesthetics we can get in here, different textures and stones and finishes.
Mm.
But people do buy from the website, but definitely more bespoke.
Awesome. And how do you fit it all in? Because you've got this amazing website with collections, bespoke stuff. You're growing your Instagram. You're very active on there. You're obviously making all the jewelry, and dealing with the customers. How does it work? Tell us a bit about your day to day and how you juggle it all.
Um, how do I juggle it all? It's definitely something I'm working on, and it's something that's stressed me out a lot recently and broken me down a bit. Because it's one thing being the artist and creating and trying to sell that, but the other side of the business, maybe the most important side of the business, is marketing it and trying to keep up with customers whilst juggling making things and trying to pursue new customers so that you don't have a few weeks off. Um, yeah, it's kind of long, long days, long nights, and a lot of Instagram,
Yeah, yeah,
a lot,
it is
a
a
lot of blood,
lot.
sweat, and tears.
Yeah. Maybe
Uh,
one day you'll have an assistant who can help you with some of the,
that's the dream.
yeah.
That's the dream. Totally. Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of wake up early, get straight in the workshop, kind of complete orders that I need to do, and alongside that, I got my phone here. I'm talking to customers, trying to pursue new orders. But it's the whole thing of juggling the Instagram, trying to, because there's one thing I sometimes get on like a role of trying to post every single day, trying to post a new reel, a new piece. And I do that for like 2 weeks, and then I get a load of orders from that, or like a few, and then I'm kind of burnt out on the marketing, and I'm suddenly making loads of stuff but not posting. And then you see your Instagram engagement drop because you're not keeping up that momentum of posting. You're like, I can't post because I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
And it's just like this constantly.
Yeah.
But it's all fun and games though when you finally make something, give it that final polish and scrub, and then you show it to the customer, and they're like, "Oh my god, it's amazing! It's just what I wanted. It's so shiny," and that makes it all worth it. You know, you've satisfied them, and they're really happy with what they got. Um,
Yeah. Especially with the high
but
pitched voice.
yeah, exactly. Like, oh my
Yeah.
god.
But I think people will be relieved to hear that, because you can often look at people online and think they just have it sorted, like everything's easy for them. But it is, when a business is growing and you see it growing, it's because of a lot of hours that have been put in. And yeah, I think it's very real to kind of talk about, like, it is a lot, and you do go through the ebbs and flows, and sometimes Instagram just has to wait for a few weeks while you're making, and that's fine. Like, you can,
Yeah, it's sometimes it has to. It doesn't like it, and you don't like the result afterwards, but it has to.
yeah.
I'm only one person. I know I also look at other people on Instagram. I mean, I think loads of all jewelers on Instagram follow each other and envy each other and chat to each other and push each other on and encourage and all that. I speak to loads of them, and there's so many nice people out there.
Mm.
You can't help but compare yourself to the people that with more following, and you're like, how are they doing this and making these amazing things and still keeping on top of posting all this stuff? I guess everyone's just different and has different workload capabilities, or maybe people helping them, and you just got to take it at your own pace, really.
Yes, yes. In my experience, if people look like they're doing more than is possible, it's because someone else is helping them.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
they have a team, which is great, which is how it should be. And as people grow, I think it's great to be able to hire someone and to have someone else work on your business. That's amazing. So it's
That,
yeah.
exactly, that's the dream. I don't think anyone can possibly expand in the way they might want to without delegation and teamwork. It's one thing I learned was trying to be able to do all the processes of different kinds of casting, like lost wax casting and stone setting, and you can waste so much time trying to learn to do all these different things. Especially lost wax casting, that took about 5 months of my life away trying to perfect that. I thought it would be easy, really not easy to do and work well, especially when you're trying to do some 3D prints. So that's something I've kind of realized now. Every now and then I'll do it, but to save time and cost, outsource someone to do that lost wax casting, and then I can file and polish it, because you can't be the best at everything. You just can't, and that's the reason people specialize in stuff. Is
Absolutely.
because you can get really good at something if you just put a lot of time in there. So now sometimes I get other people to set stones for me as well. I do some kind of like gypsy settings, but the clean kind of flush settings, or I do the bezel settings as well. But yeah, and like I haven't done the pave yet, but I've got other people to do that for me because I just haven't got a microscope and haven't got the time to learn it. And it's more important for me to focus on creating new products and getting new clients than learning something like that and investing in more expensive equipment.
Absolutely. You're running the business, so you're doing everything. So finding certain things that you can outsource in order to keep the business going is a crucial part of it, which I think sometimes isn't talked about as much. But for every jeweler, it's important to make those choices as to what they
Yeah.
focus on and what they're not. What would you say is like the biggest lesson you've learnt in building your business so far? Has it been 3 years? I think I read something that's
Almost
slightly
4 years
more
now.
now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Biggest almost four. Yeah, bit stressful that. Biggest lesson. Probably as I kind of just said previously, like trying to be the best at everything and learn everything. Um, like the lost wax casting lesson I had was that was the worst. So much trial and error. It's so painful. So yeah, biggest lesson was probably get help where you can, and yeah, don't try and do everything because there's people out there who can do it for you, and it'd be more beneficial to your state of mind to get them to do it than put that pressure on yourself to be able to do it. Um, yeah, I think so. I think that's
Yeah,
probably it.
I think that's a great lesson to learn. I think,
Delegate.
yeah, you're right. At the beginning, it's our baby. We want to do everything. We want to learn everything. And I think jewelers, we're often micro businesses, so we're very self-contained and we're used to doing everything. So learning to kind of let go of little bits and be like, oh, actually, you can do that. I spoke to a jeweler recently who outsources all their polishing, and it's like,
Oh,
great, you
really?
don't have to do polishing. Someone else does that. And we all choose different things that we'd like to outsource based on what we're interested in. But I think that's a really kind of interesting one. And going back to your commissions, could you say that there was a favorite commission, or is there one that you've really enjoyed, or just to give people an idea of the kind of thing that you've made in the past that
Yeah.
you enjoyed?
Um, so I always find that my latest thing is my favorite thing I've made. I recently made a tourmaline ring, which was a watermelon tourmaline, a green and pink one,
No.
and that was my favorite. It was so cool. It had like I just find tourmalines amazing because they have come in this crazy range of colors, and they have this amazing kind of character to them with all their kind of inclusions in them. And they can come in a really big size for a reasonable price. So I think that was one of my favorites recently. But then I made this one for myself, probably
Oh,
can't see very well on this. You might have to check it out on
oh,
Instagram,
nice.
but it's kind of a
Green,
mixed
I can see
metals.
that.
Yeah, it's got green in it. It's a green tourmaline. But mixed metals, gold, silver, kind of chunky hammered thing. So that's my favorite thing at the moment.
Nice.
Um,
Is that one for you?
this one's for me.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you got to keep some of them. Got to
You
keep
got
some.
to
Got
keep
to
some of
wear
them,
the product.
exactly.
Yeah.
So often I make things, I'm like, I wish I could keep that, but that was a one stone that I'm never going to find again, and you bought it, so you have to have it.
Yeah. So
So,
beautiful. Nice.
but
I
yeah,
love
that's
what
my
you said.
favorite thing at the moment.
Yeah, like you said, your favorite thing is the last thing you've worked on because I think I feel that way a lot of the time as well. It's like
Do
whatever
you?
it's
Yeah,
like, oh, I just finished it. I made it. It's even if it's something quite straightforward that I've done before, because you've had that attachment to the piece, don't you? You've just
exactly.
time on. So
It's
yeah.
been like going through your mind for like a week or so, designing it and thinking how you're going to do it, and you finally get it out. You're like, whoa, I was so passionate about that, and it's shiny.
And it's here and I get to wear it or give it to someone. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's probably my favorite thing at the moment, this ring, which you could see on my Instagram page in higher quality if you're interested. So,
Nice. Yeah,
um,
definitely. And tell us, going back to Instagram, tell us a bit about your process because you create these beautiful reels. And one of the things I love about your reels is the sound. You keep like a lot of the natural sounds on them as well.
yeah, yeah.
And you do a lot of kind of, is it ASMR or kind of, yeah, tell us a bit about how you come up with content for Instagram.
So I've juggled with a few different kind of formats, whether it would be like voiceover content or like ASMR up close content. Um, and I've found that what's it like the Instagram algorithm really, well, people really like just to see how things are made, and they like to hear the raw noises. And I think Instagram can be quite clouded with kind of TikTok-esque kind of audios. So when you stumble across something which has not got like a Sabrina Carpenter song on it, it's kind you kind of it's kind of like eye-catching. You can hear like drill noises and like little hammer taps, and um, so I kind of went down that process of creating ASMR content because that seemed to me the only kind of thing which got organic reach.
Mm.
So I kind of, yeah, I just constantly am filming every step of the process while I'm making something on my phone. And I've got this mount which I can put my phone in really close so I can get like macro footage on it and splice it all together in CapCut and turn all the audios up so you can hear all the noises. And yeah, that's how I kind of make the content. But I uh I tend to put in a few kind of photo style posts as well, but Reels is my main thing because that seems to be the best thing for getting traction
Mm.
and getting people to actually look at it. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So you film all your process, which I think
Yeah.
is the way to go these days. Because it used to be, well, when Instagram first came out, it's probably before your time, but it was just images. And then
Oh,
it's moved more and more to video. And at first it was like we'd film like a little bit of the process. But now I feel like it has moved towards jewelers pretty much filming everything that they do. And then at the end, sort of going and thinking, okay, what bits can I use to chop it up
yeah,
a nice reel out of it?
exactly.
People on that journey with you, I suppose, of the making.
Yeah, I think people are just interested in the whole craft bit because it's just there's just so many different tools and techniques in making jewelry. So every artist has their own kind of collection of bits, and it's just like unique to them and the way they make things. So it's a real big insight into the artist and what they use, and apparently people like to watch it. So yeah,
And you have lots of interaction on Instagram. And something that I think is quite interesting, which is probably not that nice for you, is that a couple of people have not been very kind. Um,
no,
but I think it's very inspiring how you deal with it, because I think a lot of people are nervous about being on social media or putting themselves out there for that very reason that someone might say something critical. And if you're
Mm,
big enough anywhere, especially if you're on YouTube, people will say something critical because it's just what
yeah.
happens. So tell us a bit about what that's like for you and how you deal with it. Does it, yeah, because I think it's something that a lot of people have fear over.
Yeah, it's a real strange one because you kind of put your heart into making something you think's cool, or even for a client that you think's cool for them and they're really happy with, and you chop up your video, post it. Uh, And there's this one video in particular, which is probably the one you've seen, which is a gold signet ring with some rubies in it. And it absolutely popped off. And it's got like, it's still growing, but it's got almost 8 million plays on it. And I just had this like, I woke up, I had this like, I've just been barraged with hundreds of people saying awful things about the ring and about me. I was just so confused, but I also found it quite funny because I just thought it doesn't, I mean, it'd be easy to get offended by it, but it doesn't really matter because they're still watching the video, and because they're watching it and commenting on it, it's driving more engagement and more people to look at it.
Yeah, it's like
And
trying to grow your business.
exactly, that's actually kind of helping because also people are like reacting to them, being like, "You're so rude. Oh, how dare you say that to me? He's just an artist, whatever." So yeah, it hurts, but it's also beneficial and kind of funny. It's kind of comical,
Yeah.
but yeah, because I mean they're driving more people to look at the thing. So, and from that post, I gained like 2,500 followers. So I won over
Worth
them.
it.
So
Worth
they can
it.
say all they want.
Worth your horrible comments. Well, I think this is the thing. If something goes viral, that's the risk that you take, is that they say like you haven't made it until you get your first bad review.
Yeah,
It's this idea that if you're big enough, if you've grown enough, at some point someone's going to have a negative opinion. At the beginning, hopefully everyone's really supportive because maybe it's a smaller crowd. But as you get bigger, you're going to have these, whatever you want to call them, haters,
yeah,
who sort of have a negative opinion. And yeah, I think being able to deal with that for businesses that are growing is really important because it can really affect people. So it's nice to hear that you kind of are like, oh, that's not nice, but also it's totally fine because
yeah,
ultimately you have your customers, you have your business, you're doing something you love, and yeah, someone else's opinion shouldn't have a play in that. So yeah.
yeah. Exactly. You just got to kind of laugh at it, and I mean, you look through their profiles and you see that
That
they're
always
doing is
helps.
posting hate stuff, and you're like, okay, well, you're clearly like, I can't say anything, but yeah,
Yes, we
um,
understand. We
we
understand.
understand.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. So what's next for you? You've already done so much in 4 years. So you're going to be developing your style. Yeah, what does the future hold?
What does the future hold? It's a good question. For now, building, constantly like building, posting more, trying to grow. I really want to develop my style more and become recognized as more of a high value brand. I want to work a lot more with gold and more exquisite gemstones. Like I'm really into colored diamonds at the moment, so I'm trying to get some clients on board to do that kind of thing. But yeah, I want to develop my style more and go more upmarket. I think
Nice.
that's kind of the route I want to go down. That's going to take
More
a lot
gold,
of kind of
more diamond.
sorry,
More gold, more
more
diamond.
gold and diamonds. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
I need to polish off my kind of Instagram aesthetic a bit more to make my page seem higher value. To kind of gain those customers, I think, a bit more. But that's kind of where I'm going. Yeah,
amazing.
that's where I want to go anyway.
Nice.
Um,
Oh, I'm sure you will. Um,
thank you.
just before we kind of go on to the advice section, I just want to talk a little about pricing as well, because I suppose working kind of ties in working with gold, working with those gemstones. How have you found the pricing process and telling customers the price of pieces? Have you had people kind of negotiate with you, or has it gone quite well? Or maybe you can tell us a bit about how you handle the money side of the business with your customers.
Yeah. Pricing's an awkward one. It's kind of like it's how you value yourself, isn't it? And I've always believed, and my mum's always been a big advocate of there's no point doing something for someone if you don't feel like you're getting a fair share for the work. Like you got to value yourself high enough to make it worth doing. So I've always kind of thought, okay, I'm not going to be a cheap brand. I'm not going to bring my price down or that kind of thing because I want to be happy with the price I'm getting for the piece of work. And I want to sell something, think, yes, I'm really glad that sold for that price and that made me feel good. I don't want to feel like, oh, I was like hard done by and that was a lot of time wasted for a little return. So I've always kind of tried to stick to my guns with that. And some people obviously don't want to pay a good price for a piece of art, and that's fine. They can go they can go somewhere else and find a cheaper brand which might do that for them, and that's great if that's what they're looking for. But I want to make high quality things which is kind of respectable of my time and work. Um, I once did a Christmas market. It was my last market I've ever done. I did two, and I kind of didn't want to do
First
them
and
ever again.
last, second and last.
And yeah, it was just so awful. I
Mm.
mean, everyone hasn't had this experience, but just being confronted by the general public who are like, "You're charging what?" And just like look at you like you're an awful person for charging £100 for a silver ring, and I'm like, that took me like 10 hours. Of course, I'm going to
Yeah.
charge £100. That
Sounds
was a
like it should
massive
be
mistake.
more. Uh,
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's just like it was really a bit of a blow to get that kind of personal reaction face to face with people. So I've kind of been put off doing that. Um, but yeah, I work out my prices depending on how long I've put into the work, and obviously the value of the metals and gemstones I'm working with all come into it.
mm.
But it's all really based off time.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, it sounds great. It sounds like you've got that confidence to understand what you need to charge and you're doing it and you're okay to let people go. And if they're not in the right price bracket. And maybe fares, maybe it's finding the right fares if you do them again in future.
Yeah, I probably need
Not
to
the
do some better
local
ones. Yeah, I think that was the issue.
or high end.
But I do negotiate sometimes with people, and that's okay. If people are particularly passionate about getting something done, but it's just a little bit out. Or I also do some pricing plans for people as well. Whether it's, I mean, friends and family, I can do personally and just say, okay, well, once every month you can give me a certain chunk, whatever. But with people I don't know, I tend to use Klarna or something like that.
Nice. Good
Um,
plan.
so it gives people an option to do that. Uh, but yeah, I split it.
Awesome. And so we'll talk about making first. What advice would you give to anybody sort of new to jewelry making who's maybe looking at your business and thinking, wow, you're doing amazing stuff? What would you say to someone starting out?
Um, I'd say get really well, specialize in something like I did with like sandcasting, and just try and perfect that. And don't as I said before, overexpand and buy loads of different things, because you can end up spending a lot of money and then get demotivated and not want to do it. I mean, I see loads of pages come and go on Instagram because they've got really excited to start this page, bought all this kit, and then they're suddenly selling all their tools because they've given up on trying to do the Instagram bit. Because it's a lot to keep on top of. And so it's one thing if you can do it as a hobby, that's great, because then you're not reliant on it as an income, and you can kind of let the orders come and go as they come in. But to overcommit too soon can be a bit hard. I think I've been spoken to quite a few people that have done that and overinvested and kind of got a bit bummed out by it because they've quit their job and it's not really worked out as fast as they wanted. So I would say, yeah, don't overinvest. Start as a hobby for a long time, or as long time as you need to kind of build up on the side before you go full out into it full time.
Absolutely.
Because being self-employed and relying on an income from something you're doing is tough if you've not done it before. It doesn't. I mean, some people blow up with viral videos and they suddenly have all these orders coming in, but then you also see that that really worked really well for them for a few months, and then suddenly no one wants their other stuff apart from that one thing, or that kind of crowd goes because they're not a solid crowd who would be with you all this time, but they're actually just saw for this one thing you did. So I think it's all about consistency with posting and keeping on top of that side of things. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, giving yourself time, isn't it, to grow and to allow your customers to trust you. We always say jewelry is a trust-based purchase. So it's not
definitely.
one's just going to run to you the first year you set up, but definitely possible. And
Yeah, it definitely is.
yeah, awesome. Well, Luke, thank you so much for coming and sharing some of your wisdom with us today. If people want to go and check out your amazing Instagram, where can they find you and where can they find your website and all those kind of things?
It's all just Luke Brient on Instagram, Bryant spelled Brient, and on website as well, lukebryant.com. So feel free to DM me any questions or queries, and I'll be happy to get back to you. But thanks so much for taking the time to have me on today. It's been really nice chatting to you. After all this time, I mean, I've seen your page for ages, so it's funny. It's funny to be on video speaking to you.
Yeah, no,
I really appreciate it.
absolutely. Yeah, I think it's going to be an inspiring episode for people. I'll definitely go and send Luke a DM and let him know that you had a listen or had a watch. And yeah, just say hi. Leave him a positive comment, please. Positive.
Yeah, go on then, or give me a negative one, and I'll be sure to come something back. I'll get something witty back to you.
Yeah, yeah, you got a good
Go for it.
comeback. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Take care and best of luck with the next phase.
Thanks so much. It's been a pleasure. Cheers.